Hello, Gap Math students. This video is going to be for percents, ratios, and proportions 14 through 17. So you should be grabbing your packet and turning to the page that looks like this. Has objectives 14 through 17. So if you don't have that, hit pause, go grab that, and make sure you're on this page. So there's 4 objectives that'll be in this group of objectives, and that means we'll test on 4 objectives, and there'll be 20 questions on the next test for this group of objectives. So this one should be a little quicker than the last video. There's basically 2 things we're doing here, because objective 14 or 15 are going to be the same, except one is involved with a decrease and one is with an increase. And those are determine the percent of decrease or increase applied to a number. So that would mean, like, if something's usually $50 and now it's on sale for $35, what percent was it on sale for? And then 16 and 17 are going to be both the same, except one is applying a percent of decrease, one is applying a percent of increase. So an example of that would be something cost $50 and it's on sale for 35% off. So that's a different problem. Now what's the new price? 2 things that we'll throw at the bottom here of the first page of general notes. First thing is going to be about objectives 14 and 15. And this is in general. Is going to be, so this doesn't have to do with problem number 5. This is just, these will be just general notes. This is general notes on finding percent change. Okay, so that's an increase or a decrease. Okay, so what we're going to do, in general, what you need to find is there'll usually be 2 amounts, and you need to find what the change of amount is. And we'll do examples of this. Change in amount over original amount. Okay, and that'll give you the percent change as a decimal. Then you just convert it. Okay. So when you do this, that's the in general type thing. So let's do a few problems that deal with that type of question. Okay, so again, any of this goes too fast, you hit pause, you copy it down. I guess one thing I'm going to do here is just throw a hint here. When you are doing this, when you find the change in amount, it doesn't matter if it goes up or down. You always take the big minus the small, and it's always over the original. The bottom doesn't matter. It's not necessarily the big one. It's not necessarily the small one. It's always the original. So if something went from $10 to $15, $10 would go on the bottom. And then you would do 15 minus 10 on the top to find the change. Okay. So that's going to be the first type of problem we're going to look at. So let's look at a couple of each of those type, and we'll go to the other type. So we're going to look at number 2 here. It says below a bridge on a coastal road, the water depth at high tide was 12.5 feet. At low tide, the water depth was 10.5 feet. What percent of decrease in water depth occurred between high tide and low tide? So right there, when it asks for a percent of decrease, you know you're finding a percent change, and you're going to do this. Okay, so on the top, we want to find the change in amount. Okay, so that means big minus small. Right now, it doesn't matter which happened first or which happened second. Okay, it's just going to be the difference. The bottom number is what the original amount was. Okay, it's asking what was the percent of decrease, meaning it got decreased, so it went from big to small, meaning it was first a bigger number at 12.5 and then it went down. So the original was 12.5. Okay, now you got easy subtraction on the top. 12.5 minus 10.5 is 2. The bottom stays 12.5. Okay, now you do division. Top is 2 divided by the bottom, 12.5. And that gets you 0.16. And remember, this gives you the percent as a decimal. So you go 1, 2, and it's 16%. And they asked what percent of the decrease was, so you don't really have to write that out next to it. But otherwise, if it didn't say the percent decrease, well, you would know this was a decrease because it went from 12.5 down to 10.5. And so that was letter B, 16%. Okay. We are going to turn the page. We'll come back to some on this page for a different type of problem. But we're going to go just the top of the next page, number 6. Okay. It says they're growing plants for a science project. Between the first stage and the second stage, one plant grew from a height of 6.8 to a height of 9.18. What was the percent increase in the height of the plant shown? So again, we would use the notes on the bottom of the other page, finding a percent change, because that's what they're asking, is a percent increase. So the top, we want to find the change in amount. Doesn't matter what came first, we are just going big minus small in the two amounts. Now the bottom needs to be the correct number. Okay. The plant grew. That means it went from a smaller height to a bigger height. So wherever it started, when the problem, from the stage of the problem that is being asked, so we don't hit, we know it started at 0, but from the point of being asked, the question is asked, it started at 6.8 and went up to 9.18. And we want to know what that percent change is. Okay, so the top, you do 9.18 minus 6.8. So for the question that's being asked, that was a change of 2.38 centimeters. The bottom stays what it originally was, 6.8. Now you divide. You take the 2.38 divided by 6.8, and you get 0.35. So 1, 2, and that's a 35% increase, letter A. Okay. We're going to do one more of each of those type, and then we'll move on to the next type. So 7, the shortest driving distance between two towns is 58 miles. A new highway is being built that will reduce the driving distance between the towns to 49.3 miles. By what percent will the new highway decrease? So it says by what percent will it decrease the driving distance between the two towns? So right now it's 58 miles. After the new highway, it's going to be shorter. It's going to be 49.3. We want to know what percent the decrease that is. So again, the top is find the change in amount. So you subtract the two values. Then the bottom is the original. It's going from 58 miles down to 49.3. So that means for this problem, the original distance is 58 miles. Okay. So top, we take 58 minus 49.3. we get 8.7. So that means it's 8.7 miles shorter. The bottom stays what the original was, 58. Now we divide 8.7 divided by 58. And we get 0.15. And again, we move that over. And that's a 15% decrease. And it's a decrease because it went down from 58 to 49.3. Okay. One more of this type, and then we'll look at the applying of percent. Number 8. He's training to run a race. During the first week of training, he ran 6.75 miles. In the 5th week of training, he was able to increase the distance he ran to 8.37 miles. By what percent was he able to increase his running distance? So, again, by what percent was he able to increase? So that's a percent change. So again, we're using this from the notes. Find the change in amount over original amount. Okay. So when you're doing this, change in amount just means take the big minus the small. Doesn't matter what it was first, what was second. We're just looking for the change. Now the bottom is the important number. Okay. He went from 6.75 miles to 8.37 miles. So he originally was doing 6.75. That's the original amount. On the top, you do the subtraction. When you subtract that, you get 1.62 miles. So he's running 1.62 miles further now. And he was originally running 6.75. So now you divide. 1.62 divided by 6.75. So that 1.62 divided by 6.75 is 0.24. Move it twice, which means he increased the amount he ran by 24%, meaning 1.62 is 24% of the 6.75. And there's answer D. Okay. So that is objectives 14 and 15. There's more problems in there that you can look at and practice that. Basically, any of the problems that where the answers are percentages, that's what you're going to use this. Okay. Let's go back to the bottom of the first page to do another just little example of notes. And this is going to be just general notes for when we're applying a percent change to the values. Okay, so this is going to be what they talk about in 16 and 17 here. Determine the result of applying a percent of decrease or a percent of increase to a value. Okay, so what you're going to do here is you're going to take the original value okay, and then you're going to either add or subtract, and that's going to depend on the problem. If it says it was an increase or a decrease, so it's going to be one of these. Okay, add or subtract, and you're going to take the percent as a decimal, put in parentheses, times the original amount. And that'll give you the new value or the new amount. Okay, people that have had me in the past and done the financial literacy stuff or the money math, we've done this before. Okay, so it's the same type of thing. All of these won't be about money, some of them will, but this will be the notes I'm going to refer to. What you're going to see is the same number in 2 spots on these type of problems. Okay, so let's look. I think we got 4 problems to do and then we'll be done. Okay, so number 1, a store sells a floor lamp for $96.99. Store is having a sale that reduces, so a couple keywords, a sale that reduces the lamp's price by 40%. So anytime you see sale or the word reduce, that means it's going to go down. Okay, how much does the lamp cost during the sale? So if we use, again, I'm not going to rewrite it up there, it's right here. If we use this, we start with the original. You'll probably be able to see it on your paper at the same time, if you should have already copied it down. Okay, now you got to determine if it's a plus or minus. It's a sale. Sale subtracts money. Then we take the percent as a decimal. So we go 1, 2. So it's 0.4 or 0.40, however you want to write it, times the original amount. So what this means is we got to find 40% of the amount and then take it away from that amount. Okay, so order of operations, you copy this down first. Then in your calculator, you take 0.4 or 0.40 times 96.99. And that's going to get you 38. Now I'm going to write it out exactly as I see it here. Okay, it's going to give you that. Now eventually we're going to have to round here, and I'll talk about that in a second. So now we subtract this. So we take the 96.99 minus 38.796. It's going to equal 58.194. Okay. Now we have to round money. Money goes 2 decimals past. We're going to round to here, meaning we have to look at the number next to it. Okay. If this number is 0 to 4, this stays. If this number is 5 to 9, this bumps up a penny. Okay. So in this case, it's going to stay just like that. And there's the sale price. Now we could have rounded this, so you don't have to write this part, but just so you know, we could have rounded this amount, and we would have looked here and looked at the next number. Now that's 5 to 9, so this would round to this, which would still equal the 58.19. Okay, so that's applying a decrease, a percent decrease. All right, number 4. So I know we're skipping over some, but they're going to be similar to other problems, so we're not going to do those. Those will be ones you can practice and ask questions about if you're not getting them right. Number 4 said he found a picture on the internet. When he imported the picture, he reduced its size. So that's a key. He reduced its size by 29%. If the original picture was 5.87, what is the height of the imported picture to the nearest 100th of an inch? So we'll look at that rounding in a second. So the key here is that they gave you original, okay? And it was reduced, meaning subtract, by 29%. So we have to go 1, 2, get 0.29, and then times the original. So again, where I'm getting this is that we took notes at the bottom of the page, right here. Okay, original. In this case, it was minus the percent as a decimal times the original. Okay, so we're going to go 5.87 minus, so I'm going to take 0.29 times 5.87. Now I'm going to write it out exactly as I see it. Like that. Now I'm going to round this one first. Now 100th, okay, so if you remember this, decimals go tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. So hundredths is right here. So we got to round to here. It means we have to look at the number past it. Again, if this is 0 to 4, this stays the same. If this is 5 to 9, this bumps up 1. So here we would go 5.87 minus 1.70. It's going to stay the same. So we go 5, take our calculator, 5.87 minus 1.70. And we get the new picture would be 4.17 inches. which is right here. Okay. 2 problems left, and then we'll be done. Turning the page, I'm going to go to number 10. It says a store purchases some shirts wholesale for $23.58. That means they buy them from the people that make them. The store sells the t-shirts for 59% more. Okay, so that's key. They sell it for 59% more than the wholesale cost. How much does the store charge for the shirt? Okay, so this would be like Walmart buying shirts from Hanes, and then they're selling them. Well, Walmart's going to sell them for more than what they bought them for, so they can make money. Okay, so we're going to take the $23.58. That's the amount they are buying them for. They are going to sell them for 59% more. So more means you're going to add some money to this. 59%, we move that over twice, is 0.59 times that price they bought them for. Okay, so order operations, we write this down. We take the 0.59 times 23.58. Okay, I'm gonna write it. Now you could round it before you write it down, and when you're actually doing these problems. I'm writing it down just to show you what I actually get in my calculator. So again, we're dealing with money, so let's round this. Money goes 2 spots past, so we're looking at this number. That's between 0 and 4, so this will stay at 91 cents. So we get 23.58 plus 13.91. Okay. So we add those two together, and we are going to get a new price of $37.49, which is letter A. Okay. So one more problem to do. And I know the other example that I want to show is on a separate page. So there will be 3 pages you're going to need to take pictures of to send and get your points. It says during a home remodel, the length of a kitchen was 11 feet long, is increased by 25%. What is the new length of the kitchen? Okay, so keyword here is increased. So we start with the original. Increase means plus the percent that it's increased by. So as a decimal, 1, 2. That's a bad drawing there, but we've done a few of those and know that you go 2 spots by the original. Okay, order operations, we write down 11. We take 0.25 times 11. And we get 2.75. Okay, it doesn't look like we have to do any rounding there. And we can keep our measurement in feet. It looks like we don't need it feet and inches. That would be kind of a different section. And the new distance would be 13.75 feet. So that's all the problems we're going to look at. There's plenty of other problems here. I would say do at least 2 where you're looking for a percent, and at least 2 where you're looking for a new amount. Okay. The answers will be back here. You're going to have to rotate. You have pages, so it's easy to turn the paper. Check your answers. Remember, they're not in order. They go by topic, not number order. So like 1 is here, 2 is up there, and so on. Okay. If you have any questions on any of those, let me know. I can either do another video if there's a lot of questions, or I can just work individually with on a chat or something like that if it's just one little quick question. Okay, so make sure you have these 2 sets of notes here and then the example problems. Take a picture, send me those, and those are your easy points. Okay, if you do that for every video, you're going to do well in the class. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know.